Hi, I'm Bill O'Reilly. Thanks for watching us tonight. The truth about the riots in Baltimore, Part 2. That is the subject of this evening's Talking Points memo. Last night I opined the big loser in the Baltimore situation is the African-American community in that city and nationwide. That's because in order to succeed in America, you have to be competitive in the economic marketplace. And that message is not getting through to many Americans. Simply put, the government cannot provide prosperity. You have to make it happen. False promises from politicians are really damaging America. In Baltimore, the economic situation is dire, and the crime problem in the African-American precincts is a scandal. But most black citizens are honest, hardworking people. They're just looking for opportunity. But the rioting has now diminished that opportunity big time. For example, Baltimore is a major convention city, 29 meetings set for this year alone. An estimated $138 million to Baltimore in convention business. Now, conventions are starting to cancel. The Baltimore Orioles, another big revenue driver for the city. Today, the Orioles played a game in front of 0 spectators, nobody allowed in the park. So all the vendors, many of them young people, lose a payday. And they'll lose 3 more paydays over the weekend as the Orioles were supposed to play Tampa in Baltimore, but are now moving the games to Florida. I could give you scores, pardon the pun, of other examples. It is a fact that irresponsible criminals in Baltimore have once again hurt good folks, this time on a mass level. The city will take years to recover. That means more poverty, more law-breaking, more deprivation. And that means more confrontations with the police. Look, inner city policing is perhaps the most difficult job in the country, no matter what color the cops are. That being said, there's no excuse for brutality, and any kind of police violence, unless in self-defense, has to be adjudicated. It's quite clear many African Americans believe they are not treated fairly in the criminal justice system. So, our elected officials must deal with that on a factual basis. They must right wrongs. But in Baltimore, the elected officials are primarily black, as is the leadership of the police department. So the race card is very hard to play there. Nevertheless, we hear some really dumb things from politicians. Here's one of them.
I made a comment on yesterday out of frustration and anger when I called our children thugs. They're not thugs. They're just misdirected. And we need to direct them on a different path by creating opportunities for them because they see hopelessness.
With all due respect, the government cannot create opportunities for young people who are uneducated, disrespectful, and unmotivated. It's impossible. Personal behavior dictates success or failure. And no phony promise from a politician is going to change that. So let's stop making all of these false promises and excuses, like this one.
No, of course, it's not the right word to call our children thugs. These are children who have been set aside, marginalized, who have not been engaged by us. No, we don't have to call them thugs.
But how does that justify what they did? I mean, that's a sense of right from wrong. They know it's wrong to steal and burn down a CVS and an old person's home. I mean, come on.
Come on. So calling them thugs, just call them just call them.
Very emotional statement by Councilman Stokes using the N-word. But again, if the children have been marginalized or misdirected in Baltimore, it is largely the fault of their parents, not the country and not the police. Again, the city of Baltimore has been run by black politicians and the Democratic Party for decades. So who exactly is marginalizing the children, forcing them to commit violent crimes in the streets? Who? And that's the memo. Now for the top story tonight, reaction joining us from Baltimore, Clarence Mitchell, radio talk show host on WBAL, and Reverend Jamal Bryant, who gave the eulogy for Freddie Gray on Monday, which started all of the problems in Baltimore. Now, Reverend, I'm going to begin with you. I want to be fair. I want to be fair.
Yes, please.
Okay? I want to be fair. So I want to walk through it with you. Mr. Gray should never have died the way he died. You agree with that, correct?
I agree. He shouldn't have died at all.
Okay. We don't know why his spine was so severely damaged after, what is it, 3-4 weeks now? We don't know. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. And we should know at least something preliminary. Mr. Gray was a drug-involved person. He was a user and a dealer on the streets. He had 20 arrests with 5 outstanding when he was taken into custody. Is that Mr. Gray's fault that he was a low-level criminal? Was it his fault, in your opinion?
I'm not sure where was the responsibility of the 6 officers who arrested him.
All right, so you don't want to answer that question,
cause.
Reverend? That's fine. All right, you don't want to answer it?
Yes,
but it's a simple question.
You don't like the answer.
The answer is you're not answering. Was Mr. Gray responsible for his criminality? Was he responsible or not?
I think the state of Maryland, the United States, and skewed thinking that you're offering out of a warped premise is part of the responsibility, because you're dealing with the economic disenfranchisement as if it began 72 hours ago.
So you say, in your opinion, lack of opportunity for Mr. Gray led to him becoming a drug addict and a drug dealer. That's what you say.
64% of those who live in that zip code are on some area of public assistance with less than par educational status, no economic thriving. There's no opportunity for you to get out of that construct.
Did you get out of it?
And we tell people to lift yourself up.
You yourself got out of it.
I wasn't raised in that zip code.
Wait, Reverend.
I'm appreciative.
You yourself got out of it. You did it. And so did Mr. Mitchell. So don't tell me it can't be done. It can be done. Now, Mr. Mitchell, I have a dispatch here, all right? Anonymous.
Hi, Bill. How are you?
I'm fine. Anonymous source, okay? Anonymous source. It says the mayor told the cops not to confront the looters and the arsonists, to stand down. I don't know whether that's true or not. Do you put any credence in this report?
The statement that the mayor made could have been taken out of context. If you listen to it, it sounds as if that's what she's saying. If, however, she was taken out of context as she says that she was, if you look at the actions of the police officers Saturday night at Camden Yards, the actions of the officers allowed young people to throw rocks, to throw bricks, to throw trash cans. So the actions were more important than what the mayor says she allowed to do. The police allowed them to basically riot in downtown Baltimore on Saturday.
Okay, so you believe that the mayor told the police to stand aside, let the hooligans go in and do what they did. Now, I don't know. Again, I want to make sure that I don't know if it's true or not.
Stop.
Go ahead.
You don't, but you just put words in my mouth. I didn't say that. I said I think the mayor did that. I'm saying her words, if she is what she says, taken out of context, are irrelevant because the actions of the police and the department that night allowed people to break windows in, to cause damage, to beat up Orioles fans walking from the game.
But here, the crux of the matter is, Mr. Mitchell, whether a direct order was given by the mayor to the police department of Baltimore to stand down and allow it to happen. One report says that is true. I don't know if it's true because this is an anonymous source, and we don't know.
You'd have to ask the mayor. You have to ask the mayor.
We can't ask the mayor. The mayor's not going to answer our questions. All right, so we'll put that into somebody in law enforcement in Baltimore said this. We don't know if it's true. Now let's go on to another issue. Sure. My thesis, as you just heard, is that the city of Baltimore has been set back decades. The economic deprivation will get worse now because of what happened in the riots this week. Do you agree or disagree with that?
I can't agree or disagree because right now, Bill, it's important this message get out to your audience. We are living day to day right now, Bill. Right now, as I'm talking to you, police cars are whizzing up to a high school because of potential violence. What I'm saying to you is the future of economic, whatever happens in decades, is not on our front burner. Our front burner right now is, will we make it through tonight without more violence? But you asked me a question, how do we recover from this? What wasn't widely reported while I was on the air on my radio show yesterday is that over 2,000 volunteers came out of their homes yesterday to help clean up the mess that was created from the riots of Monday night.
They know.
People were in the streets en masse. What I'm saying to you is, you're asking me how does this play end out? I'm saying that there are more good people than bad. We'll see how this play ends out. Right now, though, Bill, this city needs to have a peaceful night without violence. And that's what as a former elected official, my concern is that.
And I agree with you, but I'll tell you one more thing. There are more good people than bad people. But the bad people are overwhelming the good people. And the good people have to put an end to that themselves. Gentlemen, thanks very much.
Well, my family.
Next on the rundown, African Americans not faring well under the old.